Imagine you're in a deep conversation with someone you love. You're sharing your heart and then, suddenly, nothing. Not just for a day or a week, but for a lifetime. Now imagine that silence lasting for 400 years. No phone calls, no texts, no whispers. In the Bible, that's exactly what happened between the Old and New Testaments. 16 generations of people lived and died without hearing a single new word from God. Why did the line go dead? And what was the final message God left on the voicemail before the silence began? Today, we're looking at the book of Malachi, the sharp, honest, and devastatingly relatable message that closed an era. To understand Malachi, we have to understand the vibe of the time. It's roughly 450 years before Jesus is born. The Jewish people have been back from their 70-year exile in Babylon for about a century. When they first returned, they were on fire. They rebuilt the temple under Zerubbabel and the walls under Nehemiah. They thought, this is it. The Messiah is coming, the gold is going to flow, and we're going to be a superpower again. But 100 years later, life is just hard. They're still under Persian rule. The crops are mediocre. The temple isn't as shiny as Solomon's was. The new car smell of their faith has evaporated. They've fallen into what I call spiritual boredom. They aren't worshiping golden calves or idols anymore. That was their ancestors' mistake. Instead, they are doing something much more common today. They are just going through the motions. Into this atmosphere walks a man named Malachi. Now, we know almost nothing about his personal life. No family tree, no dramatic burning bush moment. Even his name is a bit of a mystery. Malachi literally means my messenger in Hebrew. It's almost as if God said, don't look at the man, listen to the words. Malachi's style is different from any other prophet. It's not a long, flowery sermon. It's a legal deposition. It's a back-and-forth argument. God makes a statement, the people get defensive and ask a sarcastic question, and then God brings the evidence. Stay with us. Before we dive into the 5 big arguments that changed history, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We're exploring the entire story of the Bible, and you don't want to miss how these pieces fit together. 1. The love dispute, the how question. The book opens with God saying something beautiful, I have loved you. But the people are so bitter they snap back, how have you loved us? Can you feel the tension? They're looking at their bank accounts and their small houses and saying, if you loved us, wouldn't we be rich? Wouldn't we be in charge? God responds by reminding them of their history, how he chose them, protected them, and brought them back from the brink of extinction while other nations vanished. 2. The sick lamb scandal. Next, God turns to the priests, the religious leaders. He says, you despise my name. They act shocked. How have we despised your name? God points to the altar. The law said they were supposed to sacrifice their best animals, the ones without spot or blemish. But the priests were letting people bring the rejects, blind sheep, lame goats, diseased cattle. God says, try offering those to your Persian governor. Would he be happy with your leftovers? This is the heart of Malachi, mediocrity. They were giving God what they didn't want, then wondering why they didn't feel his presence. 3. Broken vows. The corruption at the temple leaked into their living rooms. Men were divorcing their Jewish wives, the wives of their youth, to marry women from pagan nations, mostly for social or financial gain. God tells them, I hate divorce in this context because it's a covenant breaking. It showed that if they couldn't be faithful to the person they ate breakfast with, they certainly weren't being faithful to God. 4. The grand theft. This is the part most people know. God says, you are robbing me. The people ask, how are we robbing you? God says, in tithes and offerings. The people were withholding their resources. They rationalized it. Life is expensive. I'll give to the temple once I've paid my bills. But God explains that the tithe wasn't just about money. It was the system that fed the poor and supported the community. By keeping it, they were closing the windows of heaven on themselves. 5. The what's the point club. The final argument is the most relatable. The people say, it is futile to serve God. What do we gain by carrying out his requirements? They look at the arrogant and the wicked who seem to be winning at life and they say, "Why bother being good?" Pause and reflect. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're trying to do the right thing, but the people cutting corners are the ones getting ahead. Drop a comment below and tell me, how do you stay motivated when it feels like the bad guys are winning? I'd love to hear your thoughts. God finishes his argument with a promise and a warning. He says he is sending a messenger to prepare the way, and that the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings. And then silence. For 400 years there are no more prophets, but here is the secret. Silence does not equal absence. While the Jewish people were waiting, God was moving the world's chess pieces. The Greeks arrive. Alexander the Great conquers the known world. Suddenly, everyone speaks one language, Greek. This means that when the New Testament is eventually written, the whole world will be able to read it. The Romans arrive. Rome builds the most sophisticated road system in history. They create the Pax Romana, Roman peace. For the first time, it's safe to travel thousands of miles. The hunger grows. Without a fresh word from God, the people start searching the old scriptures with a desperation they never had before. God was using the silence to build the infrastructure for the greatest story ever told. Fast forward 400 years. A man appears in the wilderness eating locusts and wild honey, wearing camel hair. His name is John. People flock to him by the thousands. Why? Because they haven't heard a prophet in 16 generations. John says the exact thing Malachi predicted: prepare the way for the Lord. Then Jesus enters the scene. Remember the sick lambs Malachi complained about? Jesus shows up as the perfect lamb. Remember the corrupt temple? Jesus walks in and flips the tables, demanding it be a house of prayer again. Jesus was the answer to every one of the 5 arguments in Malachi. God's love. Jesus is that love in the flesh. True worship. Jesus showed what a life fully surrendered looks like. Faithfulness. He is the husband who never leaves his bride, the church. So, what is the takeaway for us in the 21st century? The book of Malachi warns us about the danger of the leftovers. Most of us aren't going to lose our faith in a single day. We won't wake up and decide to worship a statue. Instead, we drift. We start giving God our sick lambs. We give him the leftover 5 minutes of our day when we're too tired to think. We give him the leftover pocket change of our finances. We give him a checked-out version of our worship. The lesson of Malachi is that God is not interested in your rituals. He is interested in your heart. He would rather you close the temple doors, he actually says that in chapter 1, than give him half-hearted worship. The moral: honesty is better than hypocrisy. If you're struggling, be honest with God like Malachi was. He can handle your questions, but he won't accept your meh. The 400 years of silence ended with a shout of joy. If you feel like you're in a silent season right now, remember, God is often doing his biggest work when he's saying the least. Thank you so much for watching. If this story helped you understand the big picture of the Bible a little better, please like the video. It really helps us reach more people. Next step, would you like me to do a deep dive into those 400 years of history between the Testaments? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep listening, even in the silence.